Hello everybody, this is your mommy speaking, and we are here to discuss archery or bows in Minecraft. Before we begin, I would like to say that there have been no episodes this week because I don't frankly know what to do in Medieval Mastery anymore aside from get ready for the end, and that is something that is hard to show at this point because it's all cutting, just saying I'm going to do something, then cutting, and etc. It's not any fun. So I haven't been showing it, and that leads to a lack of content, and I am sorry. Anyway, onwards with discussing archery. The bow is made with 3 sticks and 3 string. As many of you people who play Minecraft know at this point is common knowledge. The bow fires arrows that only have one type as opposed to any mod packs or whatever that you add, but I am covering only vanilla bow mechanics. Vanilla being without any mods added to Minecraft. The arrow is crafted with 1 flint, 1 stick, and 1 feather, again, as most people know. Now, with those extreme basics out of the way, or I should say, you left-click to punch with the bow, it does not do any extra damage, and right-click to draw it back. A fully drawn back bow indicated by your FOV being the shortest possible or not decreasing anymore, or the arrow being fully notched back, which is not the easiest thing to tell. I would generally go off of the FOV, indicates that your arrow will be doing or flying the farthest possible, because there are variable ranges for how far back you draw the bow, and it will also do the same damage as a diamond sword, which is 7 attack damage, varying in the armor that the person is wearing, etc., etc. Default way of calculating. Modifications to this, or enchantments, include power, punch, infinity, and flame. And enchanting goes by its own rules. I'm not going to discuss those fully. This is important to the bow because of, well, everything affects PvP. Punch with the bow is my favorite thing. First ahead of infinity. Or infinity is second only to punch. As the redundancies end, hopefully, I will explain. Punch literally punches your enemy away from you. It's a knockback thing, where its default way of shooting someone with an arrow will only knock them back about a block. Shooting someone with punch 2 knocks them back, depending on whether they're jumping or forward momentum or not, will knock them back at least 4 blocks and stop momentum, which is very important when someone is sprinting straight at you to kill you with a diamond sword. When oftentimes you have yourself as an archer in most servers and minigames, as in McPvP, McCTF, that is being displayed right now, you have chain, armor, and a stone sword, along with your bow that has knockback 2, which is why I like it so much, is that they actually have a bow with knockback 2. That lets you keep your enemies at bay from you when they are closer range or charging at you. And they give you 2 stacks of arrows to work with, which is fine enough because you're more worried about dying than running out of arrows most of the time, unless you are really good like I have been at some times. I will not always claim to be the best, but most of the time I do pretty well for myself. Infinity is more of a convenience item, and it's second on my list of enchantments to get in a normal situation, because oftentimes if you really want to, you can get a lot of arrows to the point where you don't need it, but it does allow you to be more trigger happy and practice your shots a lot better. Power is third. That would be interchangeable with the second infinity to me, because it just lets you kill your enemy faster. But if you know what you're doing with knockback, you can kill anybody indefinitely as long as you have time and, well, they aren't good at PvP as well. Because there is a matter of being able to juke and fake your way out of arrow shots. The last on the list is Flame. Now, I don't like Flame because I feel like, I don't know if this is true, the fire, when it ticks and damages someone, can put them in invincibility frames and make the knockback ineffective, or you do no damage. I know it can make the knockback ineffective because it getting hit by flame cancels momentum. Therefore, if you hit somebody with a punch bow while they're on fire and the fire activates while they're in the air, they will stop and be able to run at you faster than otherwise. The alternative way to catch an arrow on fire is to shoot through lava. It does not have to be the source block. However, this is an extremely uncommon way of doing it. I do not believe that shooting through fire will not light your arrow on fire, I believe, unless that has been changed. As I'm saying, this is prior to 1.9, and 1.9 snapshots have not been released yet, so we cannot know about how bow physics will work, if they have been changed at all, if anything. Onward, let's actually talk about PvP with it. Hitting your target with the bow is very reliant on knowing how far or how quickly you can draw back your bow. Now, this is important because while you can stand still, or relatively still because you move very slow with the bow drawn back, you can aim it and assure yourself you have a full shot, but if you know the timing, you can pull off a shot really quickly, still have it go max range, do full damage, and just generally be safer because you can move around and dodge enemy arrows or run away from someone or back away from someone charging at you a lot better. There are hacks, which I do not endorse, and I don't use as much as people want to believe that I do, that will let you both instant draw arrows, automatically release arrows, etc., etc. You know, if it's a feature, they can hack it, that kind of thing. Knowing when to not fully shoot, that is, not wait for your bow to be fully drawn and freak out and have someone charge on top of you while you're fully drawn, is a very, very important thing. That being said, you do not always have to use your bow, and it's suggestible if you can't deal with someone juking you, that you don't hope for a hit, and for the love of everything, don't bow spam. It does no damage, has very little knockback, and it just indicates that you're going to freak out and die. Eventually. It may keep them off for a small amount of time, but generally it's just annoying. I do see a difference between only ever using fully drawn back bow shots, because that is stupid, and they would not include, or they added the feature to draw back the bow and have varying distances for the specific fact that you can shoot it before it's fully notched. Or they added it because they were tired of people spamming bow shots, and they wanted to make it more realistic so that you could actually wait and draw it back and feel like you're actually doing an archery instead of just firing arrows. But I prefer my way of thinking. If you fire a shot at a distance that you're sure it will hit your target, then what's the point? The only point to having a fully drawn shot is to do more damage. And if you can't fully draw a shot without taking damage yourself, then why would you fully draw? Because they're going to do more damage to your lesser amount of armor. That is why oftentimes I'll get called a hacker for quick shooting. That is, partially drawing my bow back all the way, or not quite drawing it back all the way, and shooting them at a distance, a medium distance, not a long range, while they are charging to attack me. One of the key things to this is that if you have someone up in your face, you can do a very short shot, which is how people bow spam. Typically, they just hold it for less, I'd say a fourth of a second, or hold the right click, I should say, for a fourth of a second, and just let go of the arrow. And let it drop 2 blocks in front of them, about. If I ever do that, I should definitely hurt myself, and I deserve to die. But if I do that, I'll shoot one, hopefully hit the target. If not, I will probably be switching to my sword. Shoot a second one at about a smaller interval of about I don't know, 2/3 of a second, something like that. That shoots it 5 or 6 blocks in front of me, and catch them a second time. Because while the enemy is, or while your target is in the air, they do not have much control over their movement. So you're aiming for when and where they land on the ground. If you can hit that with the timing of the arrow, you can combo someone and get at least 2 hits. You can do one right up in front of you, one 4 to 5 blocks in front of you. This is assuming a knockback 2 bow as in the MCPvP server. Then your third shot, you do a not quite fully drawn back bow and hit them again. You have to aim a little bit to their left or right, depending on which way they're facing, because you know that they're going to continue to try to sprint at you or away from you. So you overshoot them a little bit because a person, or a Steve, a player, is 2 blocks tall and has a square hitbox. So you shoot at the top half of their hitbox. Shooting at the feet is very risky because oftentimes people are sprint jumping, which is slightly faster, towards you. And if you shoot at their feet, well, they're likely to, or they pretty much have a 50% chance or more, I don't know, of jumping over it, which is no bueno. So you shoot at their head, the second half of their hitbox, the top half. And you shoot a little bit to the left or right. I would say somewhere between 2 to 3 blocks to their left or 2 to 3 blocks to the right, depending on which way they're facing. Because they're going to be running to dodge your arrow, the next arrow, unless they're completely stupid and they're facing straight towards you. And, well, you do encounter people like that. And, well, it's a novelty when it happens, because you just continue spamming them with arrows, or pumping them full of lead if you would prefer, or flint in the case of arrows. After that third shot is hopefully hit, then you start fully drawing your bow again and shoot at them until they are within range. This way, I have gotten 4 hit combos before on people, and on the MCPvP server, typically if you get a 5-hit combo with the arrow this way, that is, you hit them once in front of you, the second time 4 or 5 blocks in front of you, a third time somewhere between 10 and 12 blocks in front of you, I'd say, and then that was the third time. The fourth time is like 15 blocks, and then the fourth time is about 20 blocks. So you will headshot someone if you get a 4 to 5 hit combo. And they get real mad when they're just about on top of you and then they're dead. So overall, you want to know when to shoot. The other thing to note about partially drawing your bow is that it has a less velocity because it's traveling less distance, and you can shoot up ledges this way. So if someone is above you and they're hiding from you, you can arc your arrow to cover more ground up there instead of just the edge. And you can hit people this way. I believe at one point in the video, which may or may not be included because I'm not post-commentating the video, I shoot a soldier on a roof 3 times before he runs away, because he was planning on waiting up there until I was distracted and then ambushing me. Beyond that, actually knowing where to place your arrows to hit somebody at a long distance is an art that is learned over time. With practice, you learn how far your arrow goes, the arc of it, the speed of it, if someone is sprinting to try to get away from you, and generally where to place your reticle when you fire. So, someone that is sprinting, though, I can tell you, you generally want to shoot 5 to 6 blocks in front of them if they're going perpendicular to the way you are looking. That is, running sideways in your perspective. And depending on speed boosts and everything, you really have to get a feel for how fast your arrows travel and their hitbox. You just have to know that before knowing to shoot, or knowing where to shoot, not necessarily when to shoot, though that is part of it. The last thing to discuss is, well, knowing when to switch to your melee weapon. Is that if someone is up in your face and they're getting into a PvP cycle where a good PvPer or a good melee, or I should say a good person with a sword, will not stand still to attack you. They will be trying to circle strafe around you, or strafe side to side, move side to side with you in the center of their circle that they're trying to move in. They may or may not be jumping to get crits, and, well, it's extremely difficult to hit somebody with a bow when they're this close. Therefore, I would suggest switch to a sword and try to knock them away from you 2 or 3 blocks, and then switch to the bow and shoot them if you can do that quickly. Which is why I am no longer as good as I used to be with the bow, because my Naga broke, and a numbered mouse like the Naga, which is why I liked it so much, allows you to quickly switch between your weapons and know exactly what you're switching to. I have a hard time using the scroll wheel because it's imprecise. I may switch backwards instead of forwards, and it's harder to switch to something like your steaks or soup that will heal you. That about covers it, actually. There's not too much else really to say it all in conclusion. No, you have to get a feel for where your arrows are going to land. You have to get a feel for how long it takes to draw back completely. And you have to know when to take your shot and when not to. If they're close to you, switch to your sword and try to get a little bit of distance to switch back to your bow. Or snipe from a distance, know where your arrow is going to land, and know how fast your enemy is going to move. And if they're dodging you, try to predict their dodging. Though, that's the same thing that you're trying to do. You're both trying to dodge each other's arrows, so good luck. And just develop strategies for moving side to side. Don't only ever pick one direction, because that becomes really obvious. Most people move 2 blocks in one direction or the other, and continue trying to move that direction while pulling back the bow, because they're waiting to see where their arrow lands. And they're trying to get out of the way of whoever was shooting at them. This is the method that is used to defeat people like hackers, because hackers either have very primitive ways of detecting which way you're moving to hit you, or they shoot directly at where you are. Either way, moving a little bit, stopping, and then shooting is a good way to go. You can move slightly while moving, but that makes it actually more likely that you'll be hit. Finding cover is a good idea, and generally staying above people, above enemies, is a good idea, because you can knock them back down the ledge, and they keep them off of you. So that will be all for my discussion on archery. If there's anything else you want to know, or if you would like to see me do more of, or actually demonstrate archery in my own way, leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.